side.
Okay, all right. Welcome everybody to another episode of the Rugby Scoop podcast. I am not by myself. As with the usual crew, Hugh Griffin all the way from the UK. Vuyo Zanga is back in the mix. Jade Craig is away on rugby duty in Val de Clava. Hugh Griffin, how's your weekend, brother?
It's good, bro. Good to be back. I was at the rugby yesterday. I was down in Bristol watching the Red Roses versus my Wales team. So I didn't get to see tons of the action live in the URC yesterday. I've been catching up on the highlights, catching up on the stats.
Careful, Hugh. Careful. They're going to start calling you a highlight specialist very soon.
Guilty.
Vickers Miranda, been away for a wee while. Now back in the mix. Talk to me. How have things been? How have you been? And how was the weekend?
Yeah, it's good, bro. Things are good. Can't complain. Although I'm starting to be on the market. So yeah, but other than that, just continue with life. Watched all the SA games yesterday.
Fantastic.
I didn't catch any of the Super Rugby or other teams. I just watched the SA teams. Yeah, but it was good. I mean, it's good to be back. I've been away for a long time.
Yes, indeed. No, good to have you back, Vickers. Good to see or hear that you're back in the market, and obviously well-experienced Vuyo Zanga. He's played Blitzbokke, coach internationally, Russia, coach club footy, coached in Kenya, coach Blitzbokke. I mean, the CV is, very, very colorful, for lack of a better word. I think, things should look up quite soon on your side of things. But nonetheless, let's kick things off, gentlemen. Let's not waste any time. Starting, obviously, with the usual news making headlines around the globe. What is happening around the globe? Let's have a look-see. So basically, we've got Spanish Rugby Federation has officially announced its bid to host, actually, 2035 Rugby World Cup. So basically, at the Spanish Rugby Gala yesterday, this was announced. Guys, what are your thoughts? Hugh Griffin, Spain is involved with Rugby Europe currently, and they haven't won the competition yet, but the likes of your Georgia, Portugal have actually won it for the first time this year, beating Georgia. Georgia has dominated the competition for a very long time, but I've seen massive numbers when it comes to support, when it comes to either your Portuguese team, your Georgian team, your Romanian team, and your Spanish team. I mean, Spain now trying to host 2035, and they've got the infrastructure to host such a pivotal rugby moment or Rugby World Cup. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, man, I think that Spain's got huge potential in rugby. I'm not going to stand here and tell people that, that Spain's the next big thing, or Spain are coming along, or Spain are going to win the World Cup anytime soon. But I don't think there's that much between the likes of Spain and Portugal in terms of quality on the field. And if you look at the infrastructure, you look at the economy, Spain is very easy to get to, a very popular tourist destination in Europe already, as I'm sure everybody knows. And like you said, they've got the football stadium sat ready to go. They could stage a World Cup, the likes of Spain, England, France, Germany could stage World Cups at a moment's notice. And I think that the team is getting better on the field. They may be a bit disappointed with how Rugby Europe went this season, letting Portugal get that shot. It could have been them. And look, if you compare Spain to someone like Georgia, I think, in terms of economy, in terms of population, there's no contest. And then the Spanish language in rugby as well, you've got the growth of rugby in South America. Can Spain kind of capitalize on that good feeling? And as you said, Scoop, that Spain have shown that they're able to put on rugby events, maybe not week in, week out, but they're able to put on an event in rugby where they're able to get 20,000 fans in the stadiums, which is not something that, say, for example, the USA has ever done. Spain have done it.
Mm.
So for me, I think it would be a great move for rugby and for Spain.
Fair, fair. Vickers, I mean, from a sevens domain, I think Spain or Madrid has hosted maybe one or two of these HSBC tournaments as well. So, which means that there is a bit of traction, or World Rugby is trying to get some people within the Spanish public more involved within rugby, and also people that are involved with Rugby Europe. We know that Russia was once upon a time also involved with Rugby Europe. But I mean, with Spain now trying to host 2035, it's possible. And what are your thoughts when it comes to also their sevens program, which is seemingly developing slowly but surely?
Yes, Scoop. Look, they already looking at hosting this year. I think they've got one leg that they're hosting with the sevens. They used to
Yeah.
go to Madrid. I think now they've changed the city. Not quite
Oh.
sure which cities they're going to. I was trying to check earlier which city they're going to, but
Mm.
but in terms of what you're talking about, I mean they're more than capable. Like Q has said, they've got the stadiums, they've got the stadiums, they've got the infrastructure. The like you say, the Spanish people, they can host soccer any day. So which means multi events is not an issue. So for me, I think it do be a good move for them. But obviously, the most important for World Rugby is always the amount of money they can get within that. So if you look at in terms of the soccer, the soccer will obviously attract a lot of football fans. But now the question is, would they be able to attract the same as rugby fans if we were to move a World Cup? Because once you compare what you've seen from China, sorry, from France, once you compare what you've seen from France and you look at what the kind of traction they had, you also have to compare because they will be looking at that. They'll be looking at how much revenue can they generate from hosting that, giving that World Cup to a place like Spain. And Spain is in trouble because I mean South Africa is also in the running. I think for the next one, and I think soon we could see England come back into the running as well because I mean 2015 was a long time ago. So yeah, so we'll see.
Oh, come on.
Yeah, but
Surely, I mean, a
this
place.
is how it happens. 1999 was Australia. We're back in Australia now. So it's not how many years is that? So it's
Fair,
literally
fair, fair.
so I mean, yeah, France was 2007 and then we got 2023 again back to France. So for me, it's not like these are the kind of things you have to ask.
But the funny thing is, because now that you mention all these other countries having to host again, who's the CEO of the South African Rugby CEO was saying that the other day that New Zealand and South Africa might not host a World Rugby tournament like a 15's World Rugby competition because they don't have the finances. They might not pull off the finances or the financial means that World Rugby is looking for people from people that are hosting these competitions. South Africa is working with the Rand. We know what happened between New Zealand and South Africa and Australia when it was Super Rugby, and how the Rand had affected who earns what and how the finances would be distributed between the three countries or three nations. So New Zealand don't have manpower, or they don't have the people or the public, because I mean it's a 5 million population country. So also the stadia, I mean, not a lot of them are hosting. I mean, not a lot of them can seat what over 50K. So there's a problem or there's an issue in that regard when it comes to New Zealand. So Australia, on the other hand, yes, they've got the facilities, they've got the means, and World Rugby needs to make money from these World Cups. That's how apparently they make money. So yeah, it's gonna be tough. But from a Spanish perspective, being in Europe as well, I think they can attract a lot of people, and also they've got beautiful weather in Spain versus the other nations in Europe, right? So yeah, I think in that case, I mean, I wouldn't mind seeing it in Spain. And I think if Spain get to host, then we'll probably see countries like Portugal, Georgia, Romania starting to probably put things together and say, hey, maybe we can also host, or maybe host in conjunction with another country. Who knows? Because I mean, in the UK, we've had England, Wales, I think. Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
I think England and Wales have hosted as well once upon a time. So yeah, it's those things.
Scoop, the place
Yeah.
in Spain is Valladolid, something like that. Is that in? Yeah,
Where
that's in
is
Spain.
that?
I think that's in Spain.
Is that for the
Yeah, that's for
sevens?
the seventh. So we'll see. We'll get to see in the next
Okay.
few weeks how it looks, how the stadium
Fair
looks.
enough. Fair enough. Fair enough. Moving on. JD Schickerling ruled out for 6 months after suffering a knee injury against Connacht last week. The Stormers are running thin on that on that lock department because even Morat is leaving now. So JD Schickerling is out for the remainder of the season. But yeah, it's looking pretty glim for Stormers lock pairings at least. England winning against Wales. Hugh, that's the game you watched, 62-24. They've sealed the Triple Crown and have extended their insane winning streak. I mean, who's going to stop this English women's team, Hugh? Oh, I think we've missed Griffin there. Yeah, so Vickers, as I was saying, this English women's team looks unstoppable, and now putting 62 points against Wales. They look very strong under John Mitchell, and John Mitchell has just extended his contract with the women's team, so he's not going anywhere. So yeah, that's quite an interesting one. Griffin, I was saying, England putting 62 points against Wales. Is there anybody who can stop this train at the moment? Because they seem to be extending or moving far apart from anyone else in world rugby when it comes to women's game.
Well, I think that the best chance that a team has to beat them is France, and it always has been, and it's looking like it's going to be for a while now. France, France have conceded 3 tries in 3 games so far this year in Six Nations, so very impressive. They're top of all of the kind of physicality stats, dominant hits, dominant carries, post-contact meters, all things like that. So France have the physicality to trouble England. The thing that's letting down France at the moment is their starting games slowly and their discipline. And are they going to get away with that against a team as good as the Red Roses? But here's a stat for you, Scoop. Wales against England yesterday, 24 points is the most points they've ever scored against England. And they got a try bonus, 4 tries scored, bonus points. And Wales are the second ever team to do that in the Six Nations against England after France. France have done it 3 times. Wales have done it once. No one else has done it ever. So I don't think the gap is actually widening at this point. I think the gap is maybe in some cases stagnant. With England, I think in some cases the gap is narrowing a bit because from a Wales fan's point of view, I think that's the best we've played against England in a good while. So I think that maybe we're at a plateau right now, and I think that we might be getting to a point where the gap starts to slowly close from next year.
Yeah, I think plateau is a good one actually because I mean England can't get any better than this, right? And at some point, I mean, I remember the conversation last season or during the World Cup where people were worried or concerned that they might lose a lot of their experience in the World Cup after winning it, and a lot of youth or youngsters will be coming through, but they don't seem to have any issues with that at the moment, do they?
No, they don't. Sorry, I was away from the mute button. No, they don't have any issues with that at the moment. I mean, if you read, depends if you read the English media, it's awful the things that they've got to go through. But no, they don't really have any problems. But what's going to be interesting with the next generation through is England's had such an advantage with pathways for a while. But what you see at the moment with women's rugby is the players are so young. You're getting so many like 18, 19, 20-year-olds in test sides because these players have come through, proper academies, proper pathways, getting training on their skills from a young age. So what you're seeing is these players are coming in, and they're already, by the time they're 19 or 20, they're better than the 28, 29-year-olds that are currently in the squad. So, England's always going to have an advantage in terms of, population. Although if you look at what France are doing at under 18s, under 20s level in the women's game, they're absolutely dominated and have for a few years now. So it's going to get to a point where the talent that England have got coming through is not going to be that much better than anybody else's. I mean, in the cases of like Scotland and Wales, for example, it's just a numbers game. You have fewer people coming through, so you're going to have fewer world-class athletes coming through. But I do think that after a while, the gap will start to narrow because English players won't have such an advantage of their pathways being so much stronger than the rest eventually.
No, fair enough. Rugby Australia has posted 70 million plus surplus after a huge financial reset, driven largely by the tour of the British and Irish Lions last year, which is very good for Australian rugby, which means now they can afford to keep some players at home. We've seen a massive exodus over the past couple of years. But at the moment, I think this is very positive news for Australian rugby. And they're going to be hosting a World Cup in 18 months' time. So there's more money to come. I guess this means Australian rugby will be in a good position financially for the next few years. But then to maintain those coffers, to maintain that financial strong point will be the test, I guess, from them over the next let's say the decade from now on. How do they maintain the money? How do they make more money from this point onwards? Any thoughts from you guys regarding Australia making enough money over the past season?
Not for me.
Bernard Foley to retire at the end of the Japanese season. We know he was called the Iceman, played in the World Cup final in 2015, but finally he will be calling it quits. I thought I would see Bernard Foley coming into that Australian World Cup team in 2023, but obviously Eddie Jones had other ideas regarding that. This week, guys, tomorrow actually, not even this week, tomorrow we will see the kickoff of the Under-20 Rugby Championship. New Zealand will be playing against Australia in the first game, and South Africa will be playing against Argentina. I wonder why South Africa and New Zealand don't kick off the competition, because you want to see them at the end playing for a final. Interesting. But nonetheless, that's what's happening regarding the Under-20s Rugby Championship. Kicking off in Berga, which is PE. Yeah.
This kid from the Sharks, CI, how would he be not involved in this kind of competition?
And Marcus Miller.
Yeah, there's a couple of players that are not involved, that are youngsters. Is it maybe not important for South Africa? Are they saying that this is not important for what is going on?
Or maybe they'll be involved in the major comp, the Under-21, the World Cup one. And this one, maybe they want to try out or test out other players and see if they're up to scratch. I guess this is my thinking. No one has raised this question actually, because it's a very valid point.
Because think about it. If you are saying, okay, you're banking everything on the World Cup, then yes, last year we could say that things worked out in their favor to get into the World Cup, and obviously their players hit form perfectly. But in my opinion, is that if you're not winning the Rugby Championship, the Under-20 Rugby Championship, then you go and win a World Cup, and then the following year you don't build your depth in, if you can call it like that. If you don't build your combinations, and then you don't win a World Cup, then are you going to look back and say, I wish I could have or would have?
Valid questions. I think you want to answer these questions, because
well, the way that it works in Wales is that the club, the URC franchises, take precedent over the under-20s. So, for example, Carwyn Leggett-Jones was Wales under-20s fly half in the Six Nations. Scarlets needed a fly half; they needed him back, and so he went and played for them. And kind of the view is that pro level club rugby, URC level, is higher, a higher level of rugby than the under-20s. So it's better to have them exposed to that kind of environment rather than the under-20s, which is that's the logic that it is in Wales anyway.
Fair enough.
No,
But I mean,
yeah. But,
yeah.
but if you look at it like this, okay, I understand that it's a higher level. That means that in terms of performance, you're going to have to look at obviously that player being obviously performing at that level. But it's different. It's different defense structures. It's different rugby IQ. So some things that will work in the under-20s might not work in URC level. And in terms of the defenses, the defense is smarter. The attack is much more complex than in the under-20 side. Whereas if this kid is comfortable at the under-20 level, then surely going into the World Cup, he'll be better off.
I think it's both valid points, because but I mean, yeah, and we haven't. I think for me personally is that we haven't heard anything from an SA rugby perspective where they'll say, "Hey, listen," or maybe the head coach might go and say, "Hey, listen, because CIA is needed by the Sharks, etc. We're not going to choose him for this competition because Marcus Miller is needed by the Stormers. We're not going to pick him for this competition, but they are in line to be selected for the for the World Cup under-20 competition." Then I think that would make sense. But for now, we are all in limbo, and we are all kind of maybe assuming that X is Y and Y is Z and etc., trying to make up whatever, trying to make up our kind of understanding on how this thing is going at the moment. Yes, I mean, fully agree that URC is a much higher level, and you'd probably be tested a bit more, and you probably grow your game a bit more as well. Whereas if you're playing under-20, but I mean, it's the best players in each country, so it can be a bit of a test for you as well, right? I mean, playing against people that are the same age as you, and maybe, who knows, there's probably some players that are probably better than you, even if you are playing for the Sharks or even if you're playing for the Stormers. There's probably some players that could maybe um, push you, to be at your best level in the under-20 competition. But anyway, these are all our thoughts and opinions.
Just
for
last
now.
one from me, Scoop.
Yeah.
So so now we're talking about obviously the level is different and all of that. It will take a player at least 2 years to get comfortable in that level before he starts performing. So what you are saying is that you are trying to carve the 2 years so that he starts now. He starts now to get comfortable to the level so that when he's over under-20, he doesn't have to go back to under-20. He can start performing at a younger age than he would have if he had obviously wasted time. So that's the thing for me, is that then we're gonna go back and say South Africa lost another tri-nations to New Zealand, for example. And then we're going to say, no, which is still positive for us. But then 10 years down the line, New Zealand has won 10 rugby under-20 championships. Now we're going to start to wake up and say, Jesus, we need to catch up. You see, that's too late. It's exactly the same thing that happened to Sevens. Exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
Everyone put out too late.
Even the men's rugby championship, the older guys, the national team, it's the same thing.
Yes, you let the other team get ahead by too much before you can start to catch up.
Yeah, fair. Because now we're looking at trophies. We are in a position where we look at accolades
now
more than actually.
Yeah, 100%.
That is a fair point. That is a very fair point. But anyway, guys, let's jump on to this URC that took place this weekend. Obviously, we'll be looking at the Sharks, looking at the Bulls, who struggled against the Scarlets, looking at the Stormers hitting back, and then Leinster. What on earth happened there? But anyway, I mean, a lot of people are saying that they were saving themselves for next week's semi-final We will be touching on next week's Investec Championship semi-finals. We will be touching on Super Round in Christchurch. Our thoughts on that and how things unfolded over there. Looking at, let's start off with the Sharks, guys. That was the Friday's game. And for me, I'll just chime in here regarding my thoughts about the Sharks. I mean, they look like a team that was pretty much in charge of the game for the fair bit of the game, and there was a charge down, and then there was also, I think, one of the handling errors from the Stormers, and Edinburgh pounced on those mistakes. So I mean, looking at the score line, I mean, there was a time where the Sharks scored a try at the end, which baffled me. They scored a try in the 79th, I think it was 78th, going on 79th minute, and they still went for the conversion. I just wanted to pose this question to you guys as well. It's 33-26 after the last try is scored. That's 7 points, right? And Vickers, as a player or as a coach, would you not want to go for a draw at least? So you don't go for the conversion, or even if you do go for the conversion, you can even try a drop goal, and you've got 30 seconds to play with where you can receive a kickoff and then start maybe pushing your luck to try and see if you can get a draw out of this game. But I didn't feel that from the Sharks when I watched the game. They were just content with a 7 point loss. We get a bonus point from it, 1 point that is. And I don't know, man. I feel like they could have maybe tried and pushed their luck, because there were moments in that game where they controlled the game. They had Edinburgh under pressure or under the pump, but as soon as these errors started creeping in, Edinburgh got back into the game. There was the charge down. There was a handling error. They pounced. They scored tries. They converted those tries. But I mean, what are your thoughts on this last minute play thing? Do you think I'm asking for too much when I'm saying it's 79 minutes 30 seconds on the clock? Why go for the conversion? You can go for a kickoff and try and score another try.
Yeah, Scoop.
Talk to
Look. I think you spot on. For me, it's always been baffling anyway when coaches don't think like that. Once you point buffer and you can't lose that bonus point, then you go and chase for the kickoff with the last kickoff. I think it's fair. In sevens, it's actually done quite nicely. In sevens, you can actually even leave that. You can score a try on, let's say, 79:45 seconds. You score a try, you got 15 seconds. You can just say, I don't want the conversion, but I want the kickoff. And that's allowed. In sevens, it's done like that. But if you mean, like you say, if you're already within the bonus point, and it's not like your season has like, it's not like you're in pole position where you can be comfortable you're chasing points.
I mean, the Sharks are not
So why
even
not do it?
the Sharks are not even in a quarterfinal position at the
In the
moment.
quarterfinal position.
Yeah.
So why not go at the last minute? But like you say, I think for me the most important is that as coaches, a lot of coaches are not aware of many situations that happen on the rugby field. They take they take the face value stuff, and they don't realize that there's so much you can actually empower your players on, because that kind of moment, I mean, in 15s it's easy to send messages. You should have just screamed the message, go for the kickoff and take it from there. But again, are the coaches thinking about it? Are the coaches not thinking about it? So for me, I don't think there's anything wrong. I don't think you're asking for too much. You're just asking for a little bit more self-awareness on where you are and what is happening on the field.
Yeah.
And I think that's what a lot of coaches don't do. That self-awareness is not there.
Fair.
But in
Griffin?
terms of the games, cool.
Yes. I was going to ask Griffin his thoughts, and then we come to the
Yes,
section
okay.
of the game.
Yeah.
Griff?
It's, why you wouldn't go for it? I mean, at the end of the day, who picks up a rugby ball to get losing bonus points? Are the people in the stands paying to see teams get a losing bonus point? Like the Shark season is done, it's over. So play. Give the fans something to shout about. So take a quick conversion, drop goal conversion. Like you said, Scoop. Even if it doesn't go over, you still got a shot at the draw. and then you got the last minute drama, the last minute play. You know, I never really like it when teams even go for the draw. Like if they've got a chance to win, but they take the 3 for the draw. Like draws are for losers, man. Like go out on your shield. Like what are we doing here? You know, sometimes I think that rugby is really bad for this. Generally, is that I think sometimes people just need to stand up and look around and see like the stands full of people and go, what are we actually doing here? You know, what is the point of all of this? Because sometimes I think rugby, you know, they just go, you take a losing bonus point, it's a good result. No, come on, man.
Crazy. Because then the game itself, I mean, I spoke about elementary errors from the Sharks' perspective that got Edinburgh back into the game. But your thoughts, I thought, I mean, the Sharks forward pack really did some nice or good things. They look connected. And they've got this plan where they bring like your Ox and your who's this captain? What's this guy's name now? Vincent Koch. At a certain stage in every game, like they've got a plan for their forward pack and scrums, and maybe they get ascendancy from those elements. But in just general play, maybe they lacked a bit of experience when Hendrickson was not there at halfback, maybe to just control a bit more. If we are in the lead, let's stay in the lead. Let's not try and do things that are out of the ordinary, you know. Maybe for me, I think I lacked, but I mean, there were certain players that stood out. The Masukus were also pretty decent. Siaya having another stormer, having another good game at the back as well. Quite impressed with him. But yeah, your thoughts on the Sharks' general play?
Yeah, for me, Scoop, I wasn't really impressed. I think, look, like you say, I don't think the Sharks look like losing the game. I mean, if you watch the game, you would have said, no way, they losing this game. If you saw the score at the end, because they were comfortable. I didn't think they were not even worried about in terms of thinking about losing that game. That's how comfortable they were. And I think for me, I was really surprised when I saw Masuku at 12 and Andre at 13. Obviously, on attack, we know that Andre was obviously doing the ball carrying, but a couple of times he also was just a dummy runner. And yes, it's all fair that you say that he's getting defenders to migrate to him, but at the same time, is that if this kid has got what it takes, and we know that he's got it, why not use it to your advantage? Especially, you know, the Bulls came up with the strategy years ago. I think it was Heineken or even before Heineken, when they decided that they had a strong 12, and we're going to tell you that 12 is coming for you. Doesn't matter. You still have to stop him. And why not do that?
Was it Etienne
Why not
Botha or something at the time?
It was Hendrik Stoltz was that, right?
Jesus.
You remember? He couldn't do anything else. He just ball carried. And then they were getting winning championships because of that. And these are the kind of things that a lot of coaches always try to run away from. You can't have you have what you call your strengths. You can't run away from your strengths if things are not going right. The whole point when the Sharks started losing and not winning games, they should have just gone back to basics and try to find a way to sort out their attack and everything for next year, because that whole coaching stuff is still there. So it's not like you're bringing in anyone new. If you get what I mean, Scoop. So why not start today? Why not start building for next year now?
No, I agree.
Because now it looks like they're still trying to play the winning rugby that they were trying to play beginning of the season. That time is gone. These guys should be trying to build for next year now, because there's no more cups this year. There's only Carrigan. That's the only thing that's left. Yeah, it's that sad. It's simple.
It's only Carrigan Cup. Oh, what a mess. Hugh Griffin, did you watch the Sharks at Edinburgh?
No, not this one. Sorry, mate. It was on at the same time as some other ones.
That is wild. It's only the Curry Cup. It's only the bloody Curry Cup. Anyway, with that all said, guys, is anyone keeping an eye on Munster these days? I mean, back-to-back 40-plus points, and they don't look like a team that's gonna be stopped anytime soon. And by the looks of things, they could potentially, by looking at the log, if everything stays the same, potentially Munster Hugh could be looking at facing Leinster in a playoff game this season. And what McMillan is doing so far, because now he has full complement, right? All the players are back and everyone is available. By the looks of things, I think Clayton might just pull off an upset there against Leinster this season in the URC. That is.
I don't know about that, but the Munster had a wobble. This is very typical Munster. Every season, Munster are going to have a bad patch, every single one, and they always have. And they're a club that's got troubles off the field at the moment, which I won't go into, but they've got off field issues. But I was looking at their kind of run-in. I looked at all of the kind of the top 8 sides, who they're playing. I was like, Joe, you know what? Munster's running is okay. There's not many top teams in there. They play a lot of Irish derbies, and generally Munster tend to do okay in the Irish derbies, particularly against the likes of Ulster and Connacht, and who they're playing. And then they've got the Lions at home last day. Now, that Lions at home game, it's not impossible, guys. The Munster playing the Lions at home could decide who gets top 4. It could be a shootout between those two for the 4th spot. It could be, if the bonus points go the right way. And the Lions haven't won a single game outside of South Africa this season. They haven't won outside of South Africa. So I think that it is not over for Munster getting top 4 in this competition this year.
Oof. Okay, fair enough. Maybe let's see what they conjure up and how they survive the last few weeks of. It's crazy that the Lions have to travel all the way for the last game of the season, though. No, why would you play the last game so far away? You would think URC would have a better. How is this? A more organized way of maybe finishing off a season. Like the South African teams can stay in South Africa, the European teams can stay in Europe. Imagine traveling all the way up there just to try and finish top 4, then flying back home. And then the following week, you have to travel somewhere else again for a playoff game. I don't know. Maybe I'm looking at this differently from how things are planned anyway. Because do you think Munster has a chance of upsetting a Leinster team in the URC playoff?
Yeah, look, I think we've seen with Leinster that when they're still in both competitions, they really tend to not to focus too much on the URC. So that is the big question: is that will they still be in competition? But I think for me, what I've seen is that Munster always peaks at the end, towards the end of the competition. Maybe it's something that they've learned from the Crusaders back in the days. So yeah, so for me, I think it's possible, but again, it's going to take a massive effort, and it all depends on what Leinster decides to do.
Yep, fair enough. Let's move over then to Cape Town. What a game, what a hit back. The Stormers, we've spoken about them a lot over the years. But they seem to be a team this season that is top 3, number 1, that's a fact. Number 2, they do have the potential to go all the way this season. Number 3, they had one of the strongest packs in this competition. Dominant maul defense, dominant scrums, until they played South African teams where they were maybe tested a bit. But regardless of that, they've managed to stay top 3, and they will be hosting a playoff in terms of a quarterfinal, and potentially I think they will also host a semi-final. And if things go well, I mean, after hammering the Warriors this past weekend, if things go well, they could see themselves hosting a final. But regardless of that, let's have a look at how they performed. Vickers, what are your thoughts? Tunu had a stormer. We had Marcus Miller on debut. Dobson. And then also let's touch on Dobson's explanation as to why Willemse was on the wing. But that is something we can touch on after we've dissected Stormers rugby on the pitch against the Warriors.
Yeah, look, we always talked about Stormers not having a forward pack, or maybe let's not say not having a forward pack, maybe not using that forward pack effectively. And I think that's one of the things that they did well this weekend. Those forwards were absolutely ruthless this last weekend. And I think it's one of the reasons why they won the game, because of that forward dominance. And I think if they can stick to this recipe going into the playoffs, I think they'll definitely look at hosting that final. And again, if the finals in Cape Town, there's trouble. So for me, I think, look, there's nothing I can say except that Glasgow was just nowhere physically. They were dominated left, right, and center. The breakdown was a mess. The Stormers made dominant carries.
Yeah.
They were just absolutely great. I think, look, if you look at this Stormers performance, if they could continue with this, then there's no stopping them from taking this championship. So yeah, they were just ruthless. And I think, again, as much as Sasha gets into a lot of trouble at times, but when he has a good game, things tend to happen for the Stormers. And I think that's what happened last week.
That was going to be my next question, in terms of, because last week I did mention to Jade and Hugh that if Sasha is spending so much time on the ground, it's difficult for him to drive or steer the ship in the right direction or the right areas. And I think yesterday he really showed that, hey, man, if you playing eyes up rugby and he's seeing the gaps, he's seeing the spots, he can chip, he can grab he can put the right players into the right gaps on the right areas, he can kick well. Once he's on song, things really fall into place. Most importantly, when he's got the backing of those people are playing in the right areas of or right positions within the team itself, right? Because there's a bit of links here and there. I haven't been impressed with Wada Galant. This is the second week I'm saying this. And for me, I've been thinking that he's probably potentially the weakest link in that Stormers backline, because the Stormers do have the players, they do have the quality, they've got the quality forwards, but unfortunately now the injuries are starting to stack up, especially where the locking position is concerned. But regardless of that, they've got a back row, they've got people that are reinforcements for people to come in and slot in perfectly. And as you said, once that forward pack starts really dominating their opponents, it gives the backs the freedom to actually express themselves in a proper manner. Griffin, your thoughts?
Yeah, so I'm watching back the full 80 of this. I'm 26 minutes into it now, I think. And we'll come on to it, with the whole Willemse thing. But it's just so much more involved in the game. Like, who'd have thought you play arguably the best fullback in the world at fullback and good things happen, And I think that, we'll get into it. I'll save it to get into it. But for what I've seen so far, yeah, absolutely. The pack, Mchunu, 2 tries. So I'm seeing a little bit more, a couple more set plays, which we weren't seeing from the Stormers. Previously I've seen a couple more moves pulled out of the back pocket to get line breaks and to get tries, which is good to see.
Yeah.
It's just, it's a statement win. And we talk about kind of wake up calls, often is in terms of players, like the players got a wake up call. I think the coach has got a wake up call for the Stormers this week off the defeat from Connacht.
Yeah.
And it's a statement of, because we thought they were falling away. So to do this to the Warriors have got a lot of injuries themselves. It has to be said, this isn't them at their peak. And Franco has been worried about this for a long time, because the squad depth in Glasgow is very minimal. It's bare minimum. They're really cutting costs up in Scotland at the moment.
Really?
So, yeah, massively. So Franco's probably been worried about this, but it's a statement. That win, 40 points on the Warriors, that puts the rest of the league on notice of hey, rumours of our demise are much exaggerated. But it's important to say as well, they made changes in this game. They made changes that took control of the situation and yielded better results.
Yeah, no, fair. Vickers, Hugh speaks about the coaching staff getting a wake-up call. Last week, we spoke about Willemse playing out of position. A lot of people say, oh, yeah, he's played this position for the Boks or whatever. Doesn't really matter. Dobbo is the man in charge of the Stormers. Dobbo makes the final call on who starts where, etc. Dobbo speaks about Willemse being good in the air, and he thought Toulon. We're going to bring in the kicking game, and I think another team before that they played were bringing in a kicking game, so they needed to prepare and get somebody who really knows how to play those contestables, and Willems would have been the perfect person to play on the wing and be able to challenge those contestables. And a lot of teams, they get a lot of purchase from free or loose ball. When nobody catches the ball is just bouncing around scraps. And a lot of teams that get possession from that usually are in a transcendency in turning over ball and making sure they put you under the pump. A person is out of position. They've got spaces at the back where they can either kick a 50-22 or run the ball or chip and chase, where we've seen like a Louis Bielray has gained a lot of purchase of the tries they've scored for France this season. So that was Dobbo's explanation as to why a guy like Willems needed to play on the wing. But obviously it hasn't worked out the way he was planning. But obviously he's mentioning something, yes, something that makes sense. But in terms of now, what you miss out from not having a Willems at 15, for example, or what you miss out from not having a Willems either at 10 or at 12, putting him on the wing, you're missing something out to try and block and stop something else in terms of the kick chase or the contestables in the air. But what are your thoughts on what Dobbo said, and also, I mean, the impact this has had on the Stormers on the playing field?
Yes, good. Look, I don't want to bash anyone, but to me, it didn't make sense. Because then, are you saying that the current wingers you have are all not good enough in the air? Is that what you're saying? Because at the end of the day, you have quality. He's got quality wingers. Leon Zast is very good in the air. I don't think he's had issues before. You've got who else is there? The wing, one of the wingers, who was the what did they call him? Katzenberg is still there. I'm not sure if he's still there.
I think he might have
But
a niggle though.
Yeah, for me, it didn't make sense. But I mean, he justified it. But the fact that he lost those games, obviously, the justification is not hitting on a positive side. But for me, I think I would have challenged that in terms of, so if you are saying that you don't have wingers that can stop those kind of aerial bombs from other teams, then why not sign a wing that will stand those aerial bombs?
Fair.
So you signed Sia Kolisi. You might sign. I think he signed a prop. He signed a prop. He's got a very good props already, but he signed another good prop. I think who else is going there? I think it's from the Bulls, isn't it? I think he signed a prop from the Bulls.
No, that's the name I was looking for. Yeah,
he's focusing on his forwards. He's not focusing on his backs. So that's why for me it didn't make sense. But look, at the end of the day, coaches do see what they want to see and they act on it. They decide. But for me, I wouldn't have done that. As you said, Scoop, when you're a winger, you need, as a winger, you don't only need the streetwise and if I could call it that evasiveness of not being unpredictable. Damon Willems is very predictable. He catches the ball, he'll step and go into contact. He'll offload maybe, but he's not going to be one of those guys put a ball on foot, a chip and chase. He's not going to be those guys. So that's why I'm saying, for me, as a winger, you lose that respect. So that aspect of having that unpredictability. Even Sasha would be a better winger than actually Damon Willems in my box. In my box. So yeah, I don't know. I feel differently about it.
Griffin, jump in here.
No, agree. Like you said, Scoop, you can see the logic of what he's saying, and he's backing it up with the stats, and like you can't argue. Like, yeah, okay, but I think he kind of took his eye off the ball. Like he got so fixated on one thing that he lost sight of the bigger picture. And like, okay, well, you're making use of Damien Willemse's prowess in the air, but what about all the other like 5 or 6 incredible things that Willemse is world class at? What about all that? And we saw in this Glasgow game, like even this first 20 minutes that I've watched, Willemse is so involved, so much more involved at fullback, getting closer to Sasha, being an option for Sasha, stepping in on behalf of Sasha, playing first receiver. Like it just made the whole team sing so much more. You get your 2 best players touching the ball more, better things happen. It's not complicated. And I do think that I do get the impression that Dobbo and the Stormers guys are a bit online and they do see what people are saying online and they read the comments, and I feel like it took the Connacht loss, because up until the Connacht loss, even with the Toulon loss, they could kind of, write themselves a sob story, and say, oh, we lost by a point with a refereeing decision that we didn't agree with. And then, they, with the bad performances they had against Dragons and Edinburgh at home, they could say, oh, we won the games, we got bonus point wins, there's no problem. So they were kind of able to like shut it out and like convince much more. You get your 2 best players touching the ball more, better things happen. It's not complicated. And I do think that I do get the impression that Dobbo and the Stormers guys are a bit online and they do see what people are saying online and they read the comments, and I feel like it took the Connacht loss, because up until the Connacht loss, even with the Toulon loss, they could kind of, write themselves a sob story, and say, oh, we lost by a point with a refereeing decision that we didn't agree with. And then, they, with the bad performances they had against Dragons and Edinburgh at home, they could say, oh, we won the games, we got bonus point wins, there's no problem. So they were kind of able to like shut it out and like convince themselves like, oh, we're getting the wins, we should have gotten the wins, it's working. But they kind of like, they needed to step back and go, hey, we're not actually playing well as a team. We're not actually, delivering on what we need to do. And whilst one bit of the area, and they needed like people from outside to like scream their heads off and say, yo, Willemse on the wing and Gelant at fullback is not the answer, Dobbo. This is not going to win us the title. And they've made a change. He's taken his medicine, which he needs credit for, and they've turned it around. And I'm glad. Because I don't want people to think that I'm a Stormers hater, because I'm really, really not. I want them to do the best, and I was getting so frustrated. Watching them over the last few weeks playing badly. And like I said, I'm only 20 minutes into this Glasgow game, but it's so much better watching them with this setup. And people kind of talk about plans. I think we get sometimes carried away as rugby fans as well, with like the plans and the tactics and stuff. Sometimes you just need to get selection right. Sometimes if you get selection right, things start happening better. And I think that's what happened here.
Yeah. No, 100%. 100%. I agree. And it's good to see them bounce back like this and obviously have a very dominant. And I mean, as coaches, I think Vickers would agree to this. I mean, once you start having maybe a downward spiral of negative results, all you want to ask your players, because at the end of the day, the skill set is there, right? The tackling, they know how to tackle. You can't really teach much on the technical abilities anymore. It's just a matter of how do you respond psyche-wise, how do you prepare during that week? And once those things fall into place as well, then obviously selection plays a massive role. If you're going to tinker with selection and putting people out of position where they don't get or see much ball versus what Willemse was doing yesterday, obviously he's going to have an impact. It's almost like a set of dominoes where once you flick one down, everything just falls out of place. But yeah, it's good to see them coming back into the drawing board and say, hey, people need to play in their right positions. Number 2, let's get the selection right from 1 to 23 or whatever, right? Because the game plan is not going to change much, especially for at this time of the season, right? I mean, you just need two focus points. Do we either focus on running game or do we either focus on a forward dominant game, right? Either one of the two things are going to get us purchased. Everyone is kicking from box kicks. You know what to expect. Are you doing your preparation in those aerial contests, etc.? I mean, it's literally small little steps. It's not like a massive thing that needs to change within the team. Because if I'm correct, right?
Yeah, you're spot on, Scoop. 100%.
Right. And then other results: Benetton, Leinster, Griffin. I know a lot of people are talking about, oh no, Leinster is saving themselves for the semi-finals of the Investor Championship, etc., etc. But it's still a loss, regardless, because now what that means regarding the standings, it means Leinster are in number 4. Guys. Lions, Golden freaking Lions are number 3 in the URC table. If any of you, beginning of this season, ever think Vickers, Hugh, Bumelelo, Ndabezindo, Scrumming Flower, Jade, Craig at Waterklava, Rugby Festival with the kids, any of you thought the Lions would be number 3 with 2 games to go in the season? This is wild, man. This is wild. Griff, this loss was with Leinster. How have the Irish taken it? Because I saw online the Twitter handle for Leinster had over 100 comments after posting the result.
Look, 6 losses in a regular season is the most that Leinster have ever had in the URC era. In fact, I think you probably need to go back to Pro 12, like kind of 2017 kind of time for them to.
Vickers should know because he was coaching at that time with the Cheetahs. Oh no, with the Kings. Kings.
It's a poor result. There's no two ways around it. The Benetton have not been good this season. Their season is over. Benetton have been out of it, right? So to win the game, overtime penalty to beat Leinster, and it was even like without that, it would have been a draw. Like it was 26-26 going into the 81st minute. So
wild.
It's just what we always used to say, and Vickers will remember this from the Pro 14 era. What we always used to say is that Leinster's B team is still good enough to win the league, and clearly that's not the case anymore. Clearly, there is not a Leinster B team that is capable of going out and winning the URC anymore, which is fantastic for the URC, by the way. It's fantastic for the league that we don't see that kind of dominance. But from a Leinster point of view, it's disappointing, and they're just undermining themselves constantly this season. Is what I'm seeing from Leinster, and they might go on and win the Champions Cup, yes, because they have a favourable run. Who knows what can happen in a one-off final? But the one stat that I will give you: Leinster have played 6 games outside of Ireland in the URC so far this season. They have won 1, which was away in the Dragons.
Oof. Vickers, talk to me about these Lions. What on earth is going on? Remember when what's his name? The coach, Physio. Everyone was up in arms, but obviously that was 3-4 years ago. But he's had time. He's had time to build. He's had time to stick with the same team and keep the same players. Maybe they might have lost 1 or 2 here and there. I think Gianni Lombard is going to the Sharks, if I'm not mistaken. But I don't know any other players that are leaving. But they've kept the same group. They've lost also the Chituka brothers under the same coach. But yeah, they've made some reinforcements. And the Lions, I might say, are probably one, if not the only South African teams that's using their age group or youth coming through the program and making it and playing into the men's team, right? But looking at the Lions, they are number 3, Vickers. Number 3 on the log. Can you believe it? Can you believe it?
Yeah, look, if you ask me if the Lions would win the South African Shield, let's start there. That means that they've beaten the Bulls, the Stormers, and the Sharks. Let's start there.
True.
So we would have never seen it. So let alone getting to number 3 on the log. And
That's crazy.
They 5 points away from top. I think they're 5 points. I think they're on 53. I think they're on
They're
53,
on
and Stormers on
53. They're 2
Stormers are
points.
58. Stormers are
Yeah, yeah.
58.
No,
That's
Stormers are
not
56. 56. So
no.
they're 3 points away
So
from
they're 3
Stormers.
points away from the top. Imagine. It's crazy. Look, I think one thing, the Scoop, that we have to commend the Lions is they got in the right coaches. That was so key. They got in the right coaches. So for me, if you look at the coaching staff, there's quite good synergy because all those guys are young. All the coaching staff they with the Lions are young. They're young coaches that play professionally. I mean, your was it Albert van der Berg was there at some
Yeah.
point. You got your Fourie, Jacques Fourie, and defense coach, and probably backs.
Ricardo
You've got
Lopsha,
Ricardo
man.
Lopsha. You've got Barry's. Barry's just left. He's joined the SC 20. You had mix of young coaches.
Monet Stain is
Yes,
there.
exactly. So if you remember, the previous coaching support coaches that he had, they were oldish guys. They were not really in this kind of setup before. And what he's done now, he's gotten the right coaches, and I think that's very important for the Lions. And I must say they are looking good. They are using those forwards dominantly, and it helps. It helps that you've got a Springbok
Yeah, no,
scrummer
fair.
and a Springbok fullback. Because remember, Scoop, we always talk about influential players. The way Kieran Horn is playing is unstoppable. The way Van der Berg is playing is unstoppable. And now, if you remember, they needed a 10. They always needed a 10. And they got the best 10 from the Bulls to come and join them. And now they're starting to look like a proper side because they always had good forwards, but their forwards were also there and about because they weren't really probably moving the right direction. But now they've got the right direction. The forwards are being dominant. They've got the solid 9 and 10 and the 15. And we always know with the wingers, I mean, when have you seen a winger have that much influence in the game? How the Stormers let this kid go, I don't understand. Angelo Davis. And he's probably, for me, at the moment, is looking better than Adrian van der Merwe for the Springbok jersey. But obviously, we know it's always the tried and tested with the Springboks. But this kid is having a storm of a season. And again, Scoop, how did the Stormers let go of this kid? And also the combination that the Lions have had now in terms of that 9, 10, 15 combination is probably top. There's no one who can compete at the moment. So we could definitely see at home semi-final, and then obviously that home quarterfinal, and then semi-final will be a different story.
Yeah, no. Well said, Vickers. Well said. And it's good to see from a Lions perspective. Unfortunately, we can't say the same for for their counterparts across the Youthscape, the Bulls at the moment. Very tough times in Pretoria, but struggled against what's his name? Struggled against the Scarlets. Griffin, did you watch the Scarlets and the Bulls?
I caught the second half. I got home and caught the second half. Look, Scoop, we have to say congratulations to the Bulls. This is their first ever win in West Wales. Okay, so congratulations to them. They got lucky. Let's call it what it is. The Scarlets scored 3 tries, missed 3 conversions. Scarlets get 2 of their 3 conversions. Scarlets win this game. So the Bulls got lucky.
No, 100%.
It's not Bulls controllables. However, by the end of the game, if I'm honest, the Bulls were very much on top. And they were going, from their own half to the Scarlets try line pretty easily. The physicality. The Scarlets don't have a bench. We just don't. We've literally got teenagers, academy kids, semi-pros on our bench these days. Okay, so that started to tell in the final 10, 15 minutes for sure. Pollard, is justifying his wages at the moment. He's played something like 13 games in a row for the Bulls, not missed one.
Yeah,
and he dug them out with the penalty kicks. Because the Bulls, I think it might have been 3 tries all, or 3 tries to 2. No, 3 tries all in this game. So Pollard is the one that's won this game. But there's still, and obviously I watch the Bulls a lot. A lot of my Scarlet supporting mates don't watch the Bulls as much, and they were like, "God, this Bulls scrum is absolutely amazing." Is that, in my opinion, the Bulls still have the best pack in the URC, in my opinion.
It's a Springbok pack, literally.
So look, they got that. I think if you're the Bulls, you can just say, "Well, job done. Let's go home. Let's get back to Pretoria and forget this one ever happens." To be honest, which you can do when you're on a winning run. But they do. I think, from a Scarlets point of view, we play well against structured teams, or we play well against teams where we can do our homework on them and come up with ways to sort them out. We don't do very well against unstructured teams or teams that vary up a lot, because we're not the smartest rugby team in the world. We're not good at coming up with solutions on the pitch. Whereas if we can spend the week doing our homework on you, we can come up with ways to disrupt you. And I think that's what happened in this game. So,
Also, I was going to say, can we say the Bulls now, since they have Zebre at home, and I think they play Bennett. They play Bennett in 2 weeks, but Zebre have nothing to lose. Bulls should really put at least a 50-pointer against Zebre. Then they should 30-pointer against Benetton at least, but they can't afford to lose any games if they are serious about making it into the playoffs, because they are number 7, and Ulster is with 47 points behind them. Connacht still have a fight in them with the 2 games. If they win 2 games with 2 bonus points, that takes them to 54. So Bulls might see themselves slip down. So they have to win these games. And do you see, Vickers, do you see them losing against Zebre or Benetton in the coming 2 weeks?
No, never. Not in Pretoria. Definitely not. But as you said, Scoop, I think Hugh summed it up nicely. That forward pack of the Bulls is crazy in terms of that what they can do in the scrums. It's absolutely crazy. But yesterday, for me, the Bulls played like they didn't want to lose the game, and I didn't feel like they would kick for poles. They would kick for poles from 10 meters between the 10 and a half. Yeah, and they would kick for poles. And the Bulls kick for touch. They're driving more, easily get that in their try. But they just didn't want to take the chance. Maybe there was a little bit of nerves within the coaching staff, but I would have loved to see they would have actually cleaned that game up within the first half if they've done that. If they had gone for the touch driving, I think they would have done
playing their normal game.
Yeah, their normal game. But they were so scared on losing the game. They kept on going for line, and I think that's what gave Scarlets the confidence. Like Scarlets just kept on getting better in the game, and I mean up until the last moment, the Scarlets were actually in it. They would have taken the game. They would have won. But but anyways, yep, sorry.
Yeah, no, because I'm happy you're here, because I posed, I think, this question last week as well regarding the Blue Bulls using pretty much the same forward pack week in, week out, pretty much playing the same team 80% or 85% of the time. There's not a lot of tweaks when it comes to their lineup. I think then when you come against teams like Scarlets, who have probably now studied you and have gone, there's not much that's going to change against this team, right? We just need to be good in maybe defensive more, or good at scrum time, which is probably impossible with that Bulls pack. But I mean, there's certain areas where you go, okay, the Bulls have been playing same type of footy. It's easy to play against them because they've kept the same team pretty much, and they kept the same players. Could we see then wheels coming off? Because surely, without mixing the team up a bit, some players' legs are gonna be dead come playoffs. No.
No, I don't think so. Look, they professional. They're professional. We're talking about professionals here. So I don't see them falling off. But I would definitely see a side knowing how to plan for them tactically. Because if you can scrum well against the Bulls, then they tend to go to the boot quite a lot. And they are a team that obviously they've got good outside backs and they can actually attack well. So
Yeah.
it's a matter of you as a team just deciding on the plan and sticking to it. And like you say, I don't think they will fall off because I don't see them falling off. Especially we talk about continuity. We're literally 5 weeks away from finishing the competition. And if you take away the final, you're 4 weeks away from finishing the competition. So yeah. So I think I don't think they would fall off within these weeks. But obviously then they will have to get a proper race if they would be invited to the Springbok setup.
Oof, there we go. There we go. Fair enough. Any of you get to see any of the Christchurch super round this past weekend? Don't even tell me about the Drua try or the Chiefs try against the Drua. Don't even start. Griffin, any highlights, packages, or any comments that you've seen that might have stood out for you this past weekend when it comes to super footy?
No, not even highlights on this one. Not even a highlights merchant on this one. I saw all of the New Zealand teams won. Yeah, and the Blues in overtime.
Yep.
Against who was it? The Reds.
Oh man, don't get me started with the Bulls.
The Aussie fan who's in a group chat that I'm with was not happy about that. That's all I can say.
Vickers, you watch all the South African teams. I know you're a big Super Rugby fan. Talk to me.
No, I didn't. I couldn't wake up. That was my problem. I was literally. I wanted to wake up and watch the Crusaders game, but I don't know how it slipped my mind that it was on at the time. So that's why I didn't watch it. But Scoop, I think, look, the Crusaders did well this weekend. And that's about it. That's it that I saw. I just watched the highlights a little bit.
No, fair. I'll give you guys just a bit of a roundup. Crusaders kicked things off in Christchurch. It was a super round, so which means that Friday, Saturday, and Sunday, all the games will be played in one venue. So they opened up the One New Zealand Stadium in Christchurch. Very, very beautiful facilities. I thought the visuals were amazing from this place as well, or this arena. And also, I got the vibe. Vickers, do you remember when Wellington used to host the Sevens? Everybody used to wake up early in the morning. You would see people dressed up. It was fun. It was 3 days of just magic, I guess, in New Zealand. I thought this gave me the same type of vibe. I think you've played, actually. You've played in Wellington Sevens, no?
Yeah, I played there.
Yeah.
Scoop, you know what the funniest thing would be? I think you're right. It probably would be the same because Sky Sports, New Zealand.
Yeah.
They used to interview people crossing over from the night before to the Sevens morning, going into the stadium at 6 a.m. in the morning, and they also be pissed going into the stadium. Imagine that.
Yeah, man. I think because the thing is also with this competition they were doing, I mean, this weekend they were doing quite something similar. People coming off the trains, coming off the restaurants. Like it really had good energy and a good vibe to it. And it's also 3 days of just non-stop rugby, and also full pack stadium. And I'm thinking to myself, hey man, this almost seems like Wellington Sevens, but it's good to see. And I think a competition like Super Rugby, especially without the South African teams, is very important for New Zealand and Australia at this point, because obviously they're fighting an almost losing battle when it comes to competing against the league. So Crusaders, I was okay with their performance against the Waratahs. I'm not sure about Rob Penny anymore. I think Todd Blackadder needs to come back. Hurricanes, Brumbies, dominant effort from the Hurricanes. That forward pack, unbelievable. 45-12. Blues and the Reds, oh man. Blues for me, I don't know. A lot of people still love Bowden Barrett, but I feel like he's not managing that team. It's almost like a similar conversation when we talk about Sasha having an off day, but from a Bowden Barrett, who's such an experienced player, you would think, or I would think that he would literally drive that team into right areas, manage the game. I mean, at one point, the Blues were like 21-7 up, right? You would think this is the opportune time to manage the game, play in the right areas, but Bowden Barrett still kicks aimlessly. Like you would kick a ball straight into the fullback's throat, and the fullback will just return. and probably maybe kick it out in the Blues half. Now, you haven't gained any ground or real estate with your kick. You just gave him the ball, and no one is competing, no one is contesting. You're not making, I don't know, there's no effort into making it a contestable. And it still baffles me that he still kicks like this and is still allowed to kick like this at this level. But yeah, Bowden Barrett, I don't know, man, how he can change my mind. If Dev Rennie also selects this guy at first five for the All Blacks, I don't know. We might be staying in the same zone as Razor by the looks of things. And then Highlanders, Moana Pacifica. Highlanders finally winning a game, but Moana made it a challenge, made it a competition for the Highlanders. It wasn't an easy one, which is good to see. Maybe we dodged a bullet with Jamie Joseph there. And then the Chiefs and the Drua. There was that one stupid try that's literally making its rounds on social media at the moment. But yeah, nonetheless, Chiefs winning comfortably 42-22. But yeah, it was a good round. For me, what stood out was just the whole super round Christchurch. It's a long weekend in New Zealand. It's a long weekend in South Africa. It's a long weekend in the Netherlands. We've got one thing in common, guys. I don't know if it's a long weekend in the UK, Hugh.
No, sadly.
No
You
bank
don't have
holiday.
Monday.
Surprising.
No bank holiday.
There's also a bank that needs to be closed.
Fair enough. But yeah, guys, finishing it off next week, we don't have Super Rugby. We've got the Investec Championship. So we've got Leinster against Toulon, and then we've got sipping Bordeaux against Bath, who lost again, lost against the Saints this past weekend, which is crazy. Hugh Griffin, let's start off with you. Your predictions on it's two French clubs, one Irish team and one English team. Bath last season, let's not forget, they won that EPCR thing and then won the English Premiership. And I think Johan van Graan will definitely be pushing for this championship in Investec Championship. Hugh, your predictions?
Well, Bordeaux lost this weekend as well at home to Montpellier. Montpellier, who
Crazy.
ironically are also in the EPCR still and probably the favourite to win it. So, yeah. So, look, Bordeaux will be favourites because it's in Bordeaux at the end of the day. And they've looked to cut apart in the Champions Cup, although it was pretty much the first team that played against Montpellier the other day. So we'll see. It's definitely one worth tuning in for. Look, the smart money would be on Leinster beating Toulon reasonably comfortably, but you never know because the smart money would have been on Glasgow beating Toulon relatively comfortably as well.
Exactly.
That's not what happened. So 2 games you've definitely got to watch. I don't think there's any foregone conclusions here, but I think 2 home wins is what you would expect.
Fair. Vickers?
Sorry, Scoop. Sorry, no, for me, I think Hugh sums it up quite nice. I would also go as far as home teams, but as we've seen before, we tend to get some of these things wrong, especially when it comes to Leinster. So yeah, but anyway.
Do you think Toulon can upset Leinster in Ireland?
Look, I don't think so, but La Rochelle did it in Ireland.
Oh yeah, true.
So
True.
I wouldn't take anything away, especially with that team was packed with all the stars, all the islands.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
I don't see. Yeah, it's basically similar. I think that's the only difference is that is Manonu, did he really get a ban?
I think he's missing 3 weeks.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, you wanted to see Nonu?
Yeah, look, it's really nice to see because one of the you see the kind of character he is. He's one of those people that you probably know that he's gonna bring it only because he knows that it's do or die. And I mean, with those players that the old school players, you know how they are.
Yeah,
they're not like
fair,
the softies
fair.
these days.
Crazy work, crazy. Yeah. I wouldn't. I mean, it'll be a tough one if I think Leinster are really gunning for it this year. Obviously, the other years, yes, as well. But I think with with Jacques Nienaber there. I think there's a lot of expectations now defensively when it comes to the playoffs of this championship. And I think they've been cruising quite nicely so far. They've put themselves in a very good position. Home semi-final, and then where's the final going to be played? Because it plays in a different venue. Spain. Oh my God! Wow. That's going to be interesting. Then it sits well then for Spain to want to host the World Cup. If you look at it, if they can host this final like on a proper scale, full stadium, good transportation, back and forth, good accommodation. Okay, we can only say so much about the food. I mean, they've got the infrastructure. Is it Barcelona or Madrid?
Bilbao.
That's where the
Atletico.
Champions League final is, actually. It's probably the same
As
stadium.
well.
Yeah, the Champions League is in Bilbao.
Wow, Atletico Bilbao. Okay, fair enough. But yeah, I mean, it sets them up well for Spain and wanting to host the World Cup. But yeah, for me, I would say yes, Leinster at home, and yeah, Bordeaux just look unstoppable. They could literally just go back to back. But I don't think on this side of the decade we've seen a team go back to back in Investec Championship. Correct me if I'm wrong.
La Rochelle did.
Yeah. Back to back. Wow. Not even Toulouse, huh?
Not even Toulouse.
Bordeaux. Here we are with history upon their side. Anyway, guys, that's it for today. Thank you very much, Hugh. Thanks, Vickers. Thank you to all the listeners as well. The pod will be up on Spotify and Apple Podcast within the next few hours. Right, gents, thank you very much and enjoy the rest of your Sunday.
Cheers, guys.
Cheers, fellas. Cheers.